Good morning everybody, happy Friday and welcome to this week's edition of the RDA Central West Business Leaders Breakfast, and I'm excited that you're able to join us because this morning I'm sitting down with Hamish Munro, the CEO of Pairtree, based here in Orange. Hamish, welcome to breakfast.
Welcome Sam, and thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you here, mate. I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about your journey, your story and how Pairtree got started. But for those that don't know you, there's a really strong startup and innovation culture in Orange and the Central West. But can you tell us a little bit more about your personal connection to the region and how Pairtree got started?
Yeah, so look, fifth generation farmer from Munro, so spent a lot of time particularly in the beef industry, representing the beef industry at a sort of a state and a national level for a number of years, and just particularly also got right into sort of farming and sort of used to crop about 3,000 acres of wheat and canola, so yeah, that kept me sort of fairly busy on our family place, but you know, unfortunately succession planning or unplanning in the case got on top of it, so we had to sort of slowly break the farm up, which was a pretty big ordeal, but yeah, and so that was sort of really how I started looking around and looking at other opportunities, and through my exposure within the beef industry I saw that technology was going to be a key part of the future of productivity and farming, and so yeah, we had a bit of a look around, and I had a bit of a look at started another business in 2012 called Apticon, which was a small business which we created a meeting app, more about governance for meetings for sporting clubs or for industries, and it's all teams based, and so through that process of learning about the development process, I sort of established a little bit about that and then moved into Pairtree.
So can you tell us and our viewers and our listeners today about Pairtree, the app, how it's set up and what kind of service or support it delivers?
Yeah, so Pairtree is a universal dashboard. So 80% of farmers at the moment are struggling with technology overload. So they have between 5 and 10 apps, which includes a couple of different weather apps. Their Zero, their accounting, maybe looking at Auctions Plus or their livestock marketing and their grains. But then also they might have a livestock or a paddock management tool and some satellite imagery and all that. So very quickly, all these things add up. And so what Pairtree actually does is actually pulls the key components of that data out and then puts it into one spot so that you can log in, you can monitor your place from one spot, but more so those key elements out of each one of those apps that as a farmer in your head, you're trying to make that decision on, we can now align those up so you've got the repeatability, so you can actually see every day things are up or things are down, and so then you can actually make that decision.
And I guess it's a cliche saying, but a bit of a one-stop shop then for farmers where it's all easily accessible, all the data's there, and I guess it's a trend that we'll talk about a little bit later this morning, but it's a trend that's going to continue to gain pace. Is that your opinion, with technology continuing to make strong advances, especially in the ag sector? Yeah,
so certainly, and I think one of the differences of where Pairtree is we want to make sure that farmers have flexibility of choice. So Pairtree is a universal dashboard. We're agnostic, so we're agnostic to the network. So there's lots of different connectivity networks out there that farmers get, weather station, soil probes, tank sensors, all of those things, animal tags, vehicle tracking to the cloud. But we also are agnostic in the solution providers and also the devices. So that allows farmers not to have to actually have it prescribed to them. This is what you've got to go to. So the farmers can actually select which solutions they want, and then we put it all together. So at the moment we've got about 80 different integrations across the Australian ag tech space, the largest in Australia.
It's an exciting, when I learned more about Pairtree, it got me excited about where it could go to, but can you tell us how long's Pairtree been operating?
Yep.
And I guess starting a small business is hard yakka, and how does a fifth generation farmer from Cumnock decide to make the leap from farming into technology, innovation and app development?
Yeah, so 2018 New South Wales DPI approached us just to assist them finalising a farm decision technology project, which was between two research stations, one in Molong and one here in Orange at OAI. And so what we did there was just the visualisation part of it. But you're asking about how I made that step into technology. Well, when we looked at it, we had walkover weighing scales for lambs. At that stage, the drought was biting pretty hard, so we could actually see the lamb weights starting to dip. But I said, well, how about we go and get MLA's National Livestock Reporting Service and put the lamb prices on there so we could actually see where those intersects were starting to happen, so that at that stage we were able to look at when was the right time to sell as the prices were going up and the weights were plateauing or going down. So we've just extrapolated that out to more and more things about how to make spray decisions when you're farming, or sort of nutrition decisions and things like that.
Yeah, and I guess it's just about giving, I've said it here on this platform many times, I guess good data helps make good decisions.
Definitely.
And if you can provide that resource to farmers, it helps them make better investment decisions for their business, which is absolutely vital. Now, I believe you were based out at the Gate in Orange for a little while. Can you tell our viewers about the Gate, the services that it provides, and what a fantastic resource that is for our region?
Yeah, so we're very lucky here in Orange, particularly to have New South Wales DPI, but also the Gate. So the Gate is an incubator as such, so they don't take any equity out of your business. So what they do is they put you through a 6-month program, and ultimately the idea of the incubation program is that you get some mentors, you get some procedures to go through to actually refine what your business, what you're offering, what your value proposition, all of that is, but then also go and engage with farmers or go and engage with your client as such to better understand what the pain points are so that you can actually deliver it. So the incubation process is really good for a lot of young people that are trying to get up and running. They look at lean management, lean canvases and all of those sort of things which can be done on the outside, but with the mentors and the guys within the program like that, really just helps tease out those little critical things that do that.
And I guess as you're going through this process, having that support's absolutely vital. We'll put the link up to the Gate after this morning's chat, because it's a fantastic resource for the Central Western Regional New South Wales, and if you're interested, we'll put that information up there. We've touched on it earlier this morning, Hamish, just about the technology sector, the program development sector in Orange and the Central West. How can you see, as someone who's embedded in this sector, this continuing to grow as a pillar of the economy in the Central West in the future?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, a couple of guys and we started a small group. At that stage, it was New South Wales Entrepreneurs and Innovation, and now it's called Innovate Orange. So we meet regularly, 4th Tuesday of every month through a Meetup group, and what we're trying to do is promote and just create, sort of a bit more of a community of people that are interested in tech or innovation to come and just sort of grow their network and just have a bit of a chat. So that's been going now for pretty much 3 years. We've got probably 150 people in the Meetup group.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've attended a couple of these, and just to see the calibre of the experts and the industry leaders that are based right here in the Central West, it is quite impressive and inspiring. For those that have tuned in today that want to engage in this Innovate Orange startup group, what's the easiest way to do that? Just
go to the Meetup actual app and just type in Orange AU, otherwise you'll end up somewhere in the States, and Orange AU, and then just Innovate Orange, and just join the group, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Yeah, sounds good. We'll put those details up as well, because as you said, I think they catch up once a month, usually just for a casual beer on after work one evening. Great way to meet some of the other leaders in this sector in our region. We've talked about technology, we've talked about how it's going to continue to develop and grow in our region, and I share your confidence, I think, with the Cybersecurity Centre announced for Bathurst and some of the other, focus based here. There's a real cohort of expertise that I think will continue to grow. But agriculture is a sector that is also going to continue to grow and be based more and more on technology. As an expert in this field, how do you see technology continuing to advance in the ag sector? And what are some of the most important changes that you've seen in recent times in ag and using technology? Yeah, look, I think one of the biggest opportunities for farmers is now getting that crossover between satellite imagery as well as then yield monitoring and sort of all of that paddock specific geolocated type data. Sort of it's at the moment, historically there's been just snippets of data which are unusable in a number of reasons because they're not in the right format to talk to the next thing, or they're not actually calibrated properly, and so there's a massive issue just about cleaning data, and that's pretty much what Pairtree is doing at the moment, is actually normalising that data so it can be shared. So we don't want to be the experts in the decision process. What we want to do is just allow the data to flow through to consultants. So I think that's actually where it's going to be. The biggest opportunity is actually, righto, well, we've got all of these parts of the jigsaw puzzle, let's put it together, and then let's actually then have a look, and sort of particularly with DPI here in town, and there's a number of other research organisations that are around, or even startups that want to take on these challenges. Once the data is actually usable and repeatably usable across all of Australia, then those decisions can be made.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We do have some great technical expertise in this sector, especially having DPI here, the farming systems like Central West Farming.
Yeah.
I guess it, and for me, someone who's starting to learn more and more about how the technology is changing, it's amazing how you can use that satellite imagery to change how you might roll out some of your checking soil moisture and all sorts of stuff like that. It's pretty amazing. But a lot of small businesses, medium businesses out there, they might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed because there has been such a period of change. And I know my family are farmers as well, and I know that's probably something that they grapple with. But what kind of advice do you have to agricultural enterprises out there that might be a bit anxious about this period of change that's going on?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I can't code. I don't know anything. I'm nearly flat out turning a computer on, sort of thing. But I suppose it's more about understanding what the needs are, and so I'm quite open. I can talk to the farmers about what their needs are, and I see it as building a car, and so what motor, what driveline, what sort of componentry you'll need to create that car, and that's sort of the process where we got to at the moment. But by talking to more farmers that are a bit resident, it's not uncommon, and it's actually an extremely complex space, which unfortunately it needs to be. But the opportunity for them to keep on holding back for the answer is probably gone. And so my advice to any farmers out there or anyone interested in tech is work out what the most needed thing is. It might be water just for your livestock, or it might be satellite imagery, or it might be sort of just looking at weather stations and the weather data just to plan what your pasture growth and things like that is. But just take that one step. You don't. Once you get in there, you'll learn about the terminology, and then you can expand from there. And I think that's the biggest part of it. This sort of thing is, rather than trying to eat the whole elephant, just start eating. Get
that teaspoon and just start in small chunks. Like that. Look, we're going to change pace a little bit and hit Hamish with the Fast Five, where it's where we get to know a little bit more about our special guest. 3 dream dinner guests.
So my 3 dream dinner guests would be, I love the music, a bit of old school sort of stuff. So probably Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Jimmy Page.
Okay.
But I'd make sure I'd be at a bar with Jimmy Barnes.
Okay, so 4 Jimmys. Yeah, good. I reckon there'd be some good stories in that group.
Yeah.
Well and truly, last movie you watched?
Last movie at the cinema was actually Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, good.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah,
awesome
good.
movie. Yeah.
Haven't been to the movies in a while, but we'll have to keep that one in mind. Hidden gem of the Central West. So this could be a people, person, or a place. So when you've got visitors, something that you like to show them to showcase our region. Yeah,
look, I'll probably get shot by all the come-knockians out there, but living in Molong now, actually, Molong is a surprising little town. Every Saturday and Sunday that main street is full. There's people. Because it's on the highway, there's people coming and going all the time, but yeah, it's a great little town.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've got some great new cafe down the main street. Great place to stop. If you're ever on your way up through to Dubbo or wherever you might be going, make sure you stop in and say g'day to Molong. Favourite sporting code or team?
Yeah, look, unfortunately I'm a bit of a rugby union tragic, but actually just lately with the Big Bash, really getting in the Big Bash, love that.
Well, I'm originally from WA, so I was a bit burnt by the Scorchers not winning the final there. But no, I don't mind the Big Bash, not at all. Hidden talent or hobby?
Probably drinking cold coffee. I didn't know it was a thing, but I'm quite au fait with a cold coffee. But otherwise, yeah, cooking. Hopefully that's not a reflection on my cooking skills, but a bit of Thai spice and those sort of things.
Okay, so what's your go-to dish when you need to impress someone?
Yeah, look, probably I call it confused chicken. It's just Asian inspired, sort of marinated chicken on the barbecue, sort of. And just salad. Yeah.
Well, if you're putting in the long hours for your business, probably mastering the cold coffee is an important talent. Yeah. Now, getting back to, I guess, technology and STEM. STEM's a real focus of passion for RDO Central West and inspiring the next generation.
Yeah.
And we know it's more and more important for the agricultural sector. But can you tell us, I guess, about your personal experiences learning about STEM at school, and why do you think mastering STEM is so important for the next generation in our region?
Yeah, look, I think, sort of when we were growing up, computers were only really just coming online and they were a bit clunky and all of that, whereas now, I think the opportunities within computers essentially, but also more in the other STEM sort of pathways as well is fantastic. But with all the negatives of COVID, I think the real positive is that a place like Orange, that would have been considered sort of remote a number of years ago, is now easily accessible online, and so. With the thing, like the number of things that are happening around Orange, as you said, with the cyber security, clean, which is sort of recycling, and that's going in down in Cowra. We've got the automated vehicles, autonomous vehicles in Kidal.
And I guess with the SAP getting about to kick off in SAP as well, there's some real opportunities.
Yeah, and that's and sort of parks and clean energy and that in around Wellington, sort of solar and wind, like Orange is right in the middle of all of this, and so there's no better place in the Central West than actually for Orange to start servicing these other businesses. If Orange's talent can be technology services to the rest of these precincts and all of that, I think that's our greatest opportunity. Plus, with the tourism, the cafes, the food and the wine, I think that's, we can actually draw a number of actual, sort of C-suite execs out of Sydney for big businesses to actually establish them there, which, hopefully then will complement, other software developers and things like that, which hopefully I can employ.
Yeah, absolutely. The Silicon Valley of regional Australia. Yeah. Why not? I agree. I think it's a real opportunity, a great potential growth pillar for the region's economy. Now, we've talked about, I guess, the challenges of starting up your own business, and you talked about the benefits of utilising the gate for mentorship.
Yeah.
But who was a previous mentor of yours who supported you in your journey, and what's a piece of advice that's lingered with you from them?
Yeah, look, I suppose just sticking with the startup process and all that, I think particularly if you're going to be a small business or a startup, and a startup is probably defined more so as someone more in innovation or something that's novel, rather than just starting, a trade type business and all that sort of thing. But for a startup, you go out and you have a bit of a wild idea and you want to test it and all that. So the piece of advice is really about fail fast. So, don't get wedded to an idea, because there's lots of ideas out there, but, it's fail fast, go out, test it, build what they call a minimal viable product, which is essentially, if you want to build a Ferrari, build a skateboard.
Build a Datsun.
Build a Datsun and get someone actually using it. And if they don't like it, crack it off,
That's actually really good advice. Fail and fail fast. I actually think Craig Murphy was a previous guest on the Business Leaders Breakfast, and I think he said something quite similar, and it's really stayed with me. And I think his advice was almost, don't wait to master your product. If it's 80% there, get it out to the market, test it, because that will help you make a decision to keep investing your time and your money, or recalibrating your expectations.
And that was one of the things, sort of through Apticon, we built a trade show app, we actually built it for the Orange Field Days. We went off and built all this thing, and it was way too complicated for those guys, and it never fitted. So, you know, we spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and it sat on the shelf, you know. But that the fail fast part of it is because I didn't, and I committed, and we wasted money and time and all of that. But what the business acumen and the testing and all that, I did learn. So, you know, by keep on failing, don't be afraid to fail, because, you know, you sort of now, not that Pairtree is a success, it's growing, scaling quite well, but the thing is there's a number of lessons learnt historically that'll hopefully I'm learning on and not making those mistakes again.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. And talking about, I guess, Pairtree's success, I believe you've recently received some significant recognition for your successes.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that and why is receiving, I think it was even global recognition, so important for your business?
Yeah, so we made top 500 global ag tech businesses for forward fooding, forward fooding, and so actually that'll be announced the positions in the next week or so. So it's it's good. It's one of those things. There's not a lot of businesses globally that are actually doing what we're doing, because it's horrendously complex about joining all this data together and actually making it actually quickly available, like so the masses amount of data, but then sort of streaming it into, you know, sort of usable bite-sized farmer friendly type amounts. So that's been a nice little pat in the back, and we went through SproutX, which in 2019, which is an accelerator. So
and we'll put the link up to SproutX, because I think they've just only they might still be open for the next cohort, or might have just recently closed. But if those that are interested, we'll put the link up, because I think there's a great resource and opportunity.
And that's the next stage after the incubator. They actually take equity out of your business, but they also then sort of support you. So that's a good step to go through that journey.
Yeah, look, it's been fantastic and really interesting learning more about your journey, the journey of Pairtree this morning, Hamish.
Yeah.
But before we finish up this morning, I guess what's your prediction for Pairtree over the next 12 to 18 months? And on the flip side of that coin, what are your predictions for our region over that same period?
Yeah, so particularly for Pairtree, we're going to launch Pairtree Core, which is going to have for farmers, which will be basic satellite imagery, livestock and grains markets, as well as also geolocated weather to your farm, which then spins out sort of what we call Spray Mate, which will help farmers make decisions on when to spray, what their delta T is and all that. So we're to launch that before May, which will be coinciding with Beef Australia up at Rockhampton, and then also what we plan to do is just on board and keep farmers happy with that. But then also we've got a few projects lined up for Meat and Livestock Australia and a few other state departments, and getting into cotton.
Yeah, well, never a dull moment. But and the region, can you forecast, you know, what might happen in the next 18 months for the Central West? Yeah,
I think just listening to Dave Waddell's last week, you know, he said that, you know, tourism come back to a sustainable level, but it'll be the quality, and I think you know, particularly looking at the prices of houses and rentals and all of that around town here, I think, you know, Orange will just really hit a nice curve, grow, and hopefully we can attract more innovative type people to the town, because we're certainly in a great spot and got a great community started. So hopefully that's where we get to. Yeah,
look, I share your optimism, and as I said, it's been fantastic to learn more about your personal journey, Hamish, and that of Pairtree. Look, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. It's been great that you've been able to listen in for another Business Leaders Breakfast for another week. But firstly, thank you, Hamish. Everyone, we hope you have a great day, a fantastic weekend, and tune in same time next week for another instalment of the Business Leaders Breakfast. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.